Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we are lighting up the Star Destroyer. Well, when I first decided to do this for a Tuesday episode of the show, my original intention was to do it as a video tutorial that would go hand in hand with the pictorial instructional that Light My Bricks provides on their website for this kit. Now, as I got into the editing process, I realized that there was no way that I could do a video tutorial for the whole process in just one show. There are 77 LEDs to install on this Lego kit, and there's no way I could do it justice with just one part. So consider yourself warned. This is a two-part series with part 2 airing next Tuesday. Guys, without further ado, I just wanted to give you that heads up. Without further ado, let's get into it. Well, you guys watched me do it with the Millennium Falcon Lego build where I lit it all up, and I'm going to do the same thing here with the Star Destroyer. So I have from Light My Bricks the kit for this particular build, and it starts off with a bunch of marker lights on the side of the ship. However, you can't start that until you get these top panels off. So the first thing that I need to do is pretty much remove the entire top port side of the Star Destroyer. So with the top panels removed, we now need to install the 7 marker lights along the side. Now with these Light My Bricks kits, they don't come with a manual of instructions inside the actual box itself. You have to get the instructions from their website, but they're easy to follow and easy to find. So let's get started by mounting one of these marker lights. Well, the first light that we're going to install will be right here on this little nub here. This actually is where the mount is for the Tantive IV that comes off the side of the Star Destroyer. But what I'm going to do is for each one of these marker lights, you're going to need one of the 30 centimeter bit lights, the cool white style. And as well, you're going to need one of these Lego pieces, one of these clear dome pieces. So for me and my preference, I like to hold them on with a little dab of the low temperature hot melt glue. And once you get it in place, one of these clear little pieces here will fit right over top, and your cables will go inside. At this point, you should have your 7 marker lights on the port side of your ship. One here, one right here, one right here, 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 and that first one that we put on the front. All your cables should be run to the inside. There is only one difference. All the cables here on all of them go up and over, with the exception of this guy. We'll just give you a close-up of it. This one goes to the rear of the ship and then in behind some pieces to get to the interior. At this point now, you're going to need 2 12-port expansion boards, and your first 4 lights are going to get plugged into an expansion board here in the front end of the ship. Your last 3 at the back end will get plugged into your second one, and these 2 boards will get connected with a 50 centimeter connection cord. Well, now with those 2 expansion ports in place, the one at the back, the one at the front, they're joined together, we need another 50 centimeter connection cord and a 2-port expansion port. And what we will do is we will connect our cable here at this front expansion port, run it along the edge here and down by the loading bay or by the launch bay along the stand. It'll come out along the bottom. From there we can plug in our USB power source and test our side marker lights. Well, with those being confirmed that they work, the next thing we're going to work on here is this cannon on this left side. So the first thing we can do is pop it off of here, and we need to disassemble it. So now what you're going to need is 4 of these green 15 centimeter micro bit lights, and these are quite possibly the smallest LEDs I think I have ever seen. But what you're going to want to do is in each one of these cannon pieces, you need to maneuver this LED so that it will fit inside. And you do that by kind of folding it over on itself so that it's pointing sideways. Once you get that done, you stuff the LED all the way down inside your cannon section here, right to the bottom, and then take your wire and bring it right over top and straight through on the nub that sticks out of your cannon piece. Just like this. And once you get it affixed like that, then you can place this section in its holder. And then we will repeat that for all 4 pieces of our cannon. And once you get those in, you can put your cannon back together. And then we can twist all of these together to make one thin cable. And at this point, we can plug them all into a micro expansion board, a 4-port micro expansion board, and reattach them to the ship. So what you're going to need now are 2 15 centimeter connector cables and the Canon control board. Now this Canon control board is easily identifiable. It has the switch, it has one 5-volt input, and it has 4 outputs. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach one of these 15 centimeter cables to our 5-volt input, and we will attach the other one to the output. Now the one that comes from the output will plug into that 4-port micro expansion board that our Canon is plugged into, and this other one here that is our 5-volt input, well, that will plug into our 12-port expansion board at the rear of the ship. And once you get that all plugged in, then you can just test it, and hopefully that's showing up there on camera that these are firing. Well, at this point we need a 30 centimeter connection cable and another micro 4-port expansion port. And on these micro ones, we have regular ports on either end. Those are the inputs. So what I'm going to do is take this 30 centimeter cord, I'm going to plug it in here into one of the larger ports, and this end will now get plugged into the spare port of the micro USB expansion port that controls the lasers on the port side. From there, we can feed this one over to the starboard side to feed those lasers. We can now take a 15 centimeter connection cable, and this 12-port expansion port that we placed in the rear of the ship will connect to one of these spare ports, run the wire to the other side, and connect it to another 12-port expansion port. With those 2 expansion boards put in, we can now duplicate exactly what we've done on this side on the opposite side. We'll have to take off the top panels over there. The 4 lights in the front of the ship will get plugged into this original 12-port expansion port up here that we put in the front end, but the rear 3 lights will get plugged into the new one. And of course, the lasers will get plugged into the new micro. So I will install all of those, and then we will show you what we have at that point in time. And once you have them all installed, you can turn them on and test. Truth be told, as you do each group, you should be testing. I test for each individual light so that I can troubleshoot the problem at the time if there is one. I haven't had a problem yet, so we're good to go. It's now time to wire up and light up the docking bay. So in order to do that, I need to remove this lower right-hand panel, and then we can pull the docking bay out itself and we can work on just that section. With the docking bay removed, we want to take this little TIE fighter out of here. So we'll just remove him. And what we want to do is take out the little gray clip that holds him in place, as well as our little red clear piece that's here. And then from there, you want to take a cool white 30 centimeter bit light, and at the connector end, you want to kind of bend it a little bit. And we're going to feed it in through the square section where we removed our red piece from, and we're going to feed it out through the bottom hole here. Just like that. And we'll pull it all the way through so that our LED sits inside our TIE fighter. And then we can place our red piece back in there. And then our cable can get looped up. We'll just disconnect this piece. We're going to loop it up here, just like this, and then secure it in place, just like that, with the wing of the TIE fighter. And once we get that done, we can replace our little mounting hook. Now you just don't want to push that in too far because you don't want to damage the LED that's now inside that section. And then once that's done, we can reinstall our TIE fighter in the docking bay. And now that you have that done, you want to remove basically this whole center section here, because we need to run some wires in here, as well as a couple other LEDs. So we'll just carefully remove this stuff. There we go. And we'll take this out as well. And we will also remove this section right here, as well as this flat piece and this piece right here. Now at this point, you just want to carefully run the wires down inside here. Then we can snap these pieces back in place over top of the wires to pin them where they belong. Like that. And then this one here now will run along the side of this piece, and that will get pinned underneath here. Now I'm doing this part a little different from the instructions. The instructions say that you need to bend one of these 30 centimeter bit lights up, and this will just basically free float in here. I don't really like that idea. So what I'm doing is on the inside surface of each one of these black bricks here, I'm going to use a little bit of the hot glue, and I'm going to glue a 30 centimeter soft white bit light right in the middle of each of these pieces. Just like that. And once we get that done, we can carefully fold our wires underneath here. We will reconnect our pieces back where they belong, and we can put this section back together. We now need to install the lights that will be on the opposite end of the docking bay. So I have two 30 centimeter red bit lights. They're the flashing reds. And what we need to do is remove these two end sections here. Just like that. And what I'm going to do is right in the corner of each one here, I'm going to glue in this red bit light, and then we will run the cables out through the sides underneath the bricks. Well, at this point we can take a 6-port expansion port and plug all 5 of our bit lights into it. We will also take a 5 centimeter connector cable and plug it into the remaining port. Once we get that done, we can install this docking bay back into the Star Destroyer and use this 5 centimeter cable to plug it into the front expansion port. We should have still at least one spare plug left in that 12-port expansion port in the front end. And at this point I can make sure that all the wires there for the docking bay are all tucked in neatly, and I can reconnect and put this lower panel back in place. Well, at this point we can turn our attention away from the Star Destroyer and turn it to the Tantive IV. And for that, the first thing we're going to do is we need to remove all of these engine parts back here. So we're going to get ourselves some of the white 30 centimeter microbit lights, and we will start installing them in each one of these engines. So in order to install them, we will take the LED section, we will remove one engine, and then we will place our LED up inside of our engine, and then reconnect it to our board. And we will do this for every single one of these engines. You want to make sure they all come off the same way so that we can neaten the cables up afterwards. And with an LED placed in each one of the 11 engines, we can now reassemble the Tantive IV, trying to keep all of our cables to the inside of our engine, or of our ship. We don't want them on the outside of it. Okay, and they'll all come off to the one side like that. I'm going to neaten this up a bit off camera, and once you get that done, you're going to want to twist these all together, and then we can remount the Tantive to the front of the Destroyer. Well, I have the Tantive IV back on the Star Destroyer, and I've run the cable underneath our little clear rod here and then in through into the body of the ship. I need to take 4 of these LED leads now and plug them into a 4-port micro expansion port. Once you get your 4 engines plugged into your micro expansion port, you want to take a 5 centimeter cable and plug it into one of the larger sockets on this expansion port. You then want to plug the other 7 engines into an 8-port micro expansion port and place another 5 centimeter connection cable in one of the larger ports that are there. So we'll put another 5 centimeter cable on here. Well, we can now get our flicker effects board. And what we will do is take each one of these 5 centimeter cables and plug them into an output socket here on this effects board. We will then take a 15 centimeter cable, connect it to the input, and then we'll run it through and into the last remaining socket left on our 12-port expansion at the front of the ship. And then of course we can test it. Okay, that's cool. And unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this week. As I said in the beginning, it is very difficult to cram all the installations of these into one 20-minute or 25-minute program. It's just not happening. So we will continue that next week. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the process up until now. This is really a lot of fun. It really takes the model to a whole new level. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so that you don't miss the notifications of future episodes of the show. I really want to thank you for taking the time to stop by the channel and check out the show today. And I honestly hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.